Hey everybody, it's me, Rumi the Comic Book Poser, and I'm here today to welcome you to Enter the Poserverse. It's Tuesday, so you know what that means. It's time to figure out if I'm spending an arm, a leg, and my middle child worth of comics this week. So to see what I'm picking up, and I think you should read along with me, I'll check it out after this.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Before we talk books, a couple of announcements. Number one, to find out what my top pick of last week was, go check out the video releasing today on the Mixed Collectors channel, where you'll see a couple of us talking about our top picks. Sorry, my definitive rankings video got eaten alive yesterday. That I'm fighting my computer that it might be time to use some auction money to upgrade my decade-old MacBook Pro. She had a good run. Number two, don't forget, auctions definitely on Wednesday and Friday of this week, and Shop Talk with a question mark on Thursday. I may not be able to be around, or I might show up late because of parent-teacher conferences and having the kiddos by myself, so pay attention to social media. If not, you can check out what AM, KM, Jelly, and J1 have to talk about in terms of this week's of books and that kind of stuff. And number three, Poser Pile giveaway time. Comment on this video. Because even if I can't make it to Shop Talk, I might go live on Instagram or something like that, or just do a quick screen grab of the comment picker running from whoever comments on this video to get a free handful of books from this week or last week. That I'll try and make it some bangers, but it's free, and hopefully they go to a good home. So without further ado, let's talk books. So I cheated a little bit and looked at the pull list at the end of Shop Talk last week when we were all just kind of tired and we'd all been busy and we're a little behind our reading. But I forgot a couple of things, and I'm guessing that a couple of things have moved between, last Thursday night and Monday night on League of Comic Geeks. But you know that I'm excited for ASM 89, that we are hitting near the end of the Beyond saga, that I really enjoyed the debut appearance of the Goblin Queen. I thought that she could be a veritable foe in terms of, playing a big earth-shattering kind of role in the Spider-Man pantheon. In this one, we get a big fight between the Goblin Queen and Black Cat, so I'm ready to see how that plays its way out. Second from Dark Horse is Cloaked number 3. I think I might have missed issue number 2, because I realized that on League of Comic Geeks that I was pushing to pull individual issues and not subscribing to series, but this is a superhero gone wrong, framed murder mystery kind of story. So I'll see if I can find issue 2 at either of the shops that I go to. Hopefully I can. If not, I'll see if I buy it online. Just like Spider-Man, the other book that I am super excited for this week from AWA is Crimson Cage number 3. What John Lees and the creative team are doing with this book, it is a pro wrestling retelling of Macbeth that Chuck Frenzy rose to the top of the mountain in issue number 2 while he was still dealing with the women of the swamp, the Bayou sisters. And he's gonna have to end up paying for it, right? The ultimate kind of spoiler with this is we kind of know what happens to Macbeth if we've read that play. So I'm excited to see the turns and the adaptations that Lees and the team continue to make with this character. It's amazing. Just Lees between this and Hotel continue to blow me away. And I'm gonna guess that this book probably makes it on next week's top 5. Up next from Image Comics, I think I've talked about this before, Deep Beyond number 12. I think this got pushed back a couple of weeks, but we finally get to find out what is existing beyond the portal. We finally get a promise of secrets being revealed, and is there any kind of hope for humanity with, the plans and master plans that have been going around throughout all of this. So we'll see if it wraps. It says it's the series finale. I know that a lot of people started off hot on this series and kind of cooled off. I've really enjoyed it throughout. I think the art has been good. I just kind of, like a sci-fi like pandemic story because, you know, I'm trapped in the COVID. Next up, we get, this might be one of 2 Devil's Reign tie-ins for the week. I think the other one might be X-Men. But we get Superior 4 number 2, where, you know, a couple of the Sinister Six, right, some of that pantheon of villains have used the Fantastic Four technology that they've learned things from the Richards' lab and things they get in the Baxter building. We are seeing a new ruthless version of Otto Octavius, especially in some of the conversations that he had with Kingpin and had about Kingpin in issue 4 of Devil's Reign. Real good, I'm real excited. Next up, from DC's Flash 779, I think the previous issue to this made my top 5. I can't remember where it placed because it was a month ago. But we're getting the showdown with Eclipso. We know that things in Gem World didn't necessarily go as planned. And we also know that something may be challenging the Speed Force in Wally's children that, you know, we saw his son try and use Iris's connection to the Speed Force, and something bad happened at the end of that issue. So I want to see what happens in the end of the Eclipso War. Next up from Marvel, we've got Hulk number 4. I know a lot of people think, like, the Hulk spaceship is ridiculous. I think that might be why I love it. Every time we get to Hulk, I've talked about how I'm not a big Hulk. Like, my knowledge base is just low. So maybe I'm enjoying Starship Hulk in an alternate Earth where we saw, like, a Black Hulk show up, and we saw, like, a Bruce Banner who is now studying Hulklings but may not be one himself. I like the direction it is taking. Next up from AWA is Knighted number 4. I've also been enjoying this AWA title. It's about, you know, a man who just kind of wrong place at the wrong time lucks into becoming a superhero. He becomes the Knight. He is fighting in this weird kind of cyberpunk-ish future where all of the gangs are, you know, rocking some kind of technological enhancement or other body modifications. And the intensity ramped up at the end of the last issue, both in his personal and his newfound superhero life. So I'm excited to see what happens in 2 more issues. Next Marvel book up is Marvel Voices Legacy number 1. I've been enjoying these legacy books in terms of spotlighting different creators of color, different, you know, creators who identify as women, different creators across the LGBT spectrum, that I've been enjoying these kind of spotlight features that Marvel is doing. I really think that in addition to just these voices stories, that they could do things to increase the representation of, you know, different identity characteristics all over the place. We're seeing that happen now with increased representation in the, you know, Latino community with things like Phenom X and Primos. We've seen, you know, Ridley play with the other history of the DC universe. We're seeing, you know, in the new, the new frame of the DC universe, black heroes replacing, you know, the old white mantles. So maybe we could start seeing that in the Marvel world. Instead of just like once a month, it's like, hey, here's this group. Another book that I'm super excited for from Image Comics is Primordial Number 6. Number 5 was good and super weird at the same time. We have loved this series on Shop Talk. We are very conflicted in terms of how it could end because, like, issue number 5 went down like 3 paths in a very rapid way. And, you know, we want to see it, how it all wraps up, but I really hope that this isn't the end, because I think there are ways that this story could continue, because there's no way that it can wrap up all of its loose ends in just one more issue. Next up from Behemoth is Quad number 1. This is like a post-apocalyptic tale that, like, a solar storm caused an EMP, collapsing a lot of the grid, the communication infrastructure, right? Anything that communicates via electrical or radio waves gets knocked out, and that's something to actually be terrified of, because solar storms will probably destroy a bunch of satellites and things like that as they continue to intensify. So maybe that's why I read it, that this maybe becomes a roadmap for things to either be terrified of or to keep an eye of, or keep an eye on for our coming solar storm apocalypse. Next up from Image is Reign number 2. The first issue of this blew me away. It was my pick of the week when number 1 came out, that it snuck up on me out of nowhere because I do not think it was on my pull list. I think I picked it up off the table because I saw it was somebody adapting a Joe Hill story, and this creative team just blew me away, where like ice, glass, shard, icicle things, like it just rains like needles that killed people. And I wonder if we start to figure out what happened, and how Honeysuckle begins to bounce back. Next up from Boom is Regarding the Matter of Oswald's Body number 4. In this one, we saw the assassination of Lee Harvey Oswald by Jack Ruby. That either happened at the end of 2 or at the beginning of 3. There's a caper where they had to like replace the body. So we're gonna figure out if they can both successfully pull off the bait and switch, but also escape Texas. This is a book that after issue number 2, I was like, issue number 3 hooked me in, where, you know, we'll see. I think this is still a week-to-week read for me, which probably means, you know, if it's more than an arc, I'll make my ultimate judgment after issue number 5 or 6, wherever the end is. Next up from Valiant, I swear to God, the only 2 people that I hear talking about this book from time to time are myself and Nick from Comic Burrito. It's just real good that Cullen Bunn is revitalizing an awesome Valiant character from the 90s. We get a return of Punk Mambo, that this is the beginning of the second arc, I do believe, that hopefully it gets wild. I'm real excited about this, and I think this could be something that when the trade comes out, that the trade will make it into a poster pile, because it's real good. I think we got 5 more. Next up from Image Comics is Silver Coin number 9. I thought issue 8 was one of the best ones to come out, that twisted Wall Street tale about, you know, some of the investment bankers who were tainted by the impact of the coin, as well as the custodian. In this one, we get a police officer, and I think this is the issue written by Vita Ayala, and I love everything that they do, from the Wilds to the work that they've done in the X-Men universe recently. I'm a big fan and can't wait to see what they do in this universe, because, again, the Walsh, the artist who has kind of set the stage for this, who's the consistent artist behind the entire series, is delivering on a great anthology. Next up from Marvel is Thor number 22. I mean, we've seen everything in this run on Thor, from, you know, Donald, you know, Thor being trapped and Donald Blake on a rampage, seeing giant, you know, dog dragons from other worlds, and now Thor's fighting Mjolnir, who has been trapped inside the God of Hammers. We started to see a little bit of a rally around the Hammer, the Allfather, rally around the Thor effect towards the end of issue number 21, so we're going to see a big throwdown with the Marvel Universe getting ready to take on the deity that was trapped inside the Hammer. So what happens, who survives, and does this change the Thor universe for the coming future? Next up, another Marvel book, Venom number 5. It's too small for me to see the author on it, but it looks like it's Al Ewing down there. That this isn't a Rom V. Oh, in this issue, Al Ewing returns. I need to learn how to read, y'all. But I've really enjoyed the twists and turns that this has taken in issue number 4, where we get to see that Eddie was able to kind of bounce back and communicate with his son, to see how the symbiotes responded to being kind of, you know, they and Dylan being trapped by, you know, one of the only people that Dylan was told by his father he could trust. This Venom run continues to be excellent in my mind, and I'm enjoying this Venom arc more than the previous one, but I guess you couldn't have this Venom arc without the previous Venom arc. Next up from Image is What's the Furthest Place from Here, number 4. Again, wild post-apocalyptic tale where, kids are left to specific zones that when you hit a certain age, you are pushed away. In the last issue, they had to travel from their territory to, the creepy post-apocalyptic Walmart, and they found out that they, walked themselves into a hole. In this one, a carnival shows up, so good God, who knows how wild that this is going to get. But I'm 100% here for it. Next up from Mad Cave Studios is Wolvenheart number 11. I've been enjoying this third arc as much as this second arc as much as the first one. I have to go back and reread issue number 10 because I think I read it after an auction or after a shop talk, and it was the wee hours of the morning, and my brain do not work that late. But it's been a good read so far, a good kind of twisted retelling of some horror, fantasy, and sci-fi elements kind of weaved together that I think it's a pretty creative crossing of the streams. 2 more issues left, which means I think I am missing Devil's Reign X-Men number 2. But we've got the X, or the 10 Lives of Wolverine. This is week 5 of the 12-week event where it alternates between lives and deaths. I've been enjoying both of these. I like that we're getting to see Gaucho-style Wolverine in this one, that now we are into the early 1900s, so I want to see what, young man Logan, right? Or, pre-X-Men Wolverine is up to, even though he may be part of the X-Men jumping through time. It's been weird. I've been enjoying it. It's, like I said, very interesting Wolverine. I do kind of agree with people who are saying that the Deaths event may be more interesting. That the Moira McTaggart stuff that's in Lives is just kind of all over the place, unless I'm confusing those, which could be happening because I'm dumb. And then our last book of the week is X-Men number 8. I did not read 7, but I am getting caught up. You know that I'm just going to stare at this issue because I love MODOK. He is a weird character or a weird villain. He is super sinister. He makes a hell of a lot of sense and no sense at the same time. So I'm excited to see what is happening there, especially when I have zero context as to why MODOK is showing up. So what do you think? Those are all the books that I'm reading, and it's a light week, right? $78 for me is a light week. Because, last week on new issues alone, it was $140. I need to sell. Anybody want a liver and kidney? Let me know. I'll hook you up. You might have to, soak them in some bleach and some Lysol that I may have hammed them to death a little bit, but you can kiss it and make it all better. Is there anything that's coming out this week that I'm missing? Because, again, it feels eerily light to me. So if that's true, I know you're letting me know in the comments over here. If not, let me know in the comments down below. Also, do not forget, comment on this video to get entered to win the 4th poser pile. Check out the auctions. Check out Shop Talk if it happens without me, which it should, because I'm the most boring part of Shop Talk. And check out what the Mixed Collector's got going on in terms of our top picks of the week from last week. So as always, y'all, thanks for stopping by. Have a good one.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.